Hello, welcome back to this picnic table SketchUp tutorial video. In this video we're going to follow on from our previous build video and we're going to develop a cutting plan for this table. We're also going to show you how to use the scenes tabs to create animations and different views of your SketchUp model. We're then going to be exporting it to the 3D warehouse, and I'll also be showing you how to create PDF plans from your SketchUp drawings. So we've got quite a bit to get through. Before we do that, I'm going to answer a few comments that I got from this previous video. One of the comments I received was, what was the timber that I'm using? This is called CLS, which is Canadian Lumber Standard Dimension Timber. It's available here in the UK. It's a standard which is used worldwide, and these particular 4x2 timbers measure 89mm by 38mm. The other comments I got was, which version of SketchUp am I using? I'm using the Make version, which is the free version. You simply go to sketchup.com/downloads. When you're on the download page, to get the free version of SketchUp, pull down this drop down box and select that you want to use it for personal projects. That'll ensure that you get the free SketchUp Make version. Fill in your details and then click download and install the software. To answer another question I received, how to bring up these toolbars, move your mouse to this top menu, right click, and all the toolbars are displayed here. It's simply a case of just selecting whichever ones you want displayed and they'll appear, and then you can actually drag them around and reposition them wherever you want them. So freeze the video here. These are the toolbars that I've selected. In addition to that, the default tray on the side here can be accessed from the Windows menu, default tray, and these are all the trays that I've currently got open. So for the materials, layer control, component directory and scenes tab, you'll need to have these selected. Okay, let's get stuck into making this cutting plan. First thing we're going to do is create a couple of scenes. So we go down to the scenes dialog box, press the plus button. This creates a scene tab up here. We're just going to scroll down so we can rename this, and I'll call it table. This is our first scene, enter. Create a second scene and we're going to call this cutting plan. You can look at these scene tabs as different views of your model. So this first scene is going to be the isometric view of the table, and this second scene we're going to use to create the cutting plan. Move your model around. I'm going to select the top view and then I'm going to pan across until I get a clean piece of paper, and this is where we're going to produce our cutting plan. Whenever you change the view of a scene, you always have to update the view. You go up to the tab, you right click and then select update, and what that does is that freeze frames the current view to that tab. So now if we click on the first tab, table, we go back to our isometric view, and if we click on the second tab, cutting plan, we go back to that page that we just created. To start producing our cutting plan, we first need a length of timber. So I'm going to drag one of the seats out. I'm actually going to right click and explode this component. That puts it back to individual pieces. So now what I can do is, with the select tool, I can triple click one of these pieces, delete it, and I'm left with a single piece of timber. I'll now actually make a component out of this. I'll triple click this, right click, make component, and I'll just call this timber and enter. And then in the component directory you'll see down the bottom here I have got a single piece of timber. I'm just going to move this by rotating it. Click on the bottom corner, click on the vertical axis, rotate it 90 degrees, SketchUp snaps to the red axis and click. This is the starting point for our cutting plan. I'm going to use a couple of guidelines just to make this easier to lay this plan out. Grab the tape measure tool, come off the green axis, click and drag, and then position this right on the end of the piece of timber. Click again on this line and drag, and position this right on the end of this piece of timber. Sometimes it's a little bit fiddly navigating. Okay, so we've got two guidelines exactly 1800 millimeters apart, the same length as this one bit of timber. The seats are made up of 2 pieces of timber and the tabletop is made up of 5 pieces of timber. So we're going to need 9 pieces 6 foot long. So what I like to do is grab the text tool, hover over the centre of this component, click, it drags a leader line, automatically filling in the text for that component. Click again when you're happy with the position, and then it gives you the option to edit the text. So I normally put the quantity in here, so 9 times 4x2 timber, and then click anywhere away from this and that will set that piece of text. We'll also get the dimension tool, click on the end of this piece of timber, the other end, and then move the cursor away to where you're happy and click a 3rd time and that'll enter. So there's our first piece on our cutting plan. Now what we can easily do is drag out the rest of the pieces and arrange them in a similar fashion. I'll drag a table support out, and I'm just going to hover over this construction line just for layout purposes as a starting point and leave that there. I'm going to pull out the seat support and it looks like we'll be able to get these 2 pieces out of 1 length of timber. It's actually falling within my construction lines. So I'll use that same piece of timber as a reference point and then I'll just move it slightly away just to give us a bit of a gap for a saw cut. And I know, yeah, I've got a little bit of length there, so I know I'll get those 2 pieces out of 1 length of timber. What I can do is just move this to my other construction line. Just to give us a little bit of a gap there, and then dimension these pieces the same as before. Click on the end point, click on the end point, move the dimension away, click on the end point, click on the end point, move the dimension away. Now what SketchUp does is it naturally snaps to your previous dimensions, so it keeps them all in line, so we'll do that and then click. Again with the text tool, come in here, click on the middle of the component, pull away a leader, click, and then you can edit this. I'll just put the quantity in here 2 times. We'll do the same again on this component, click in the middle here, drag a leader, click where you're happy with the location, edit the text. Obviously we need 2 of these. Click somewhere away from that and that's set. So there we go, 2 table supports, 2 seat supports. So I know that I need another 2 pieces of timber and I'll get those 4 pieces out of 2 pieces of timber. The next part to put into our cutting plan are the legs. drag a leg out of the component directory. Now what I want to do here is I want to rotate this so it's horizontal along with the rest of the pieces. So grab the rotate tool, click on this bottom corner here, make sure that the protractor symbol is blue because then it's going to spin around the vertical Y axis. Click on this corner point. Now rather than clicking on the vertical here, I want to click along this line and you'll see that it turns pink just to tell me that I'm actually on the component. So I'll click that and then I can start to move the component, and then all I want to do is come down to the red axis. And then when it says it's on the red axis, I know it's horizontal, click again to release it. And then what we can do, just to tidy up our model, is we can then click the move tool, click on this end point and move it along the red axis till it's on my construction line. Now just so I can see whether I can get all of these legs out of one piece, I'm going to copy this. So press the control button, bring up the little plus symbol and click and start to move along the red axis. And I just want to see if I can get some daylight between these two pieces without hitting my other construction line. Yeah, I think I can there. So I'm just going to drop that there and then zoom in. There we go. And I'm going to move along the red axis and drop it onto my construction line. There we go. And we can clearly see, yeah, we've got enough there for a saw cut. So I know that I'm going to be able to get two legs out of one piece of timber as well. Same as before with the text tool, click on the component, click where I want the text to be situated, edit the text. I'm going to need 4 times leg assemblies. Click away. And then we can put some dimensions on here. Click on this end point, click on this end point and pull a dimension away. Click on this end point, click on this end point, and it will snap to that previous dimension line. And then finally we just need the braces. We'll do the same thing, drag a brace out of the component directory. We will have to rotate this so it's in a different plane. So pick the rotate tool, click on the end point, click on a vertical face, lay the piece down, click on the red axis. So we've just rotated it through 90 degrees. Go back to our plan view. And now we want to rotate it so that it's horizontal. So click on this end piece, click on the line on the component. Again, that line has now gone pink to show that I'm actually on the edge. And then you've got control of the piece, bring it down to the red axis so it's horizontal, and then click release. And then we'll grab the move tool. Again, we'll move this component along the red axis so it's on my construction line. Change back to our plan view. And we only need 2 of these braces, so we can easily get those out of another piece of timber. So I'm not going to add any more pieces, I'm just going to note this up. Grab the text tool, select the component, bring out the note, edit the text, 2 times braces, click away, select the dimension tool, click on this endpoint, click on this endpoint, drag the dimension away. So there we go. All I need to do now, I just like to just maneuver the pieces with the pan and zoom tool until I've got them displayed in the screen very well. We'll go up to Edit, we'll delete the guides that I originally put on the page. There, I'm quite happy with that layout as a cutting plan. So we'll go up to the cutting plan scene tab, right click, this is very important, and update. That's done now is that's taken a freeze frame of the view that I've got on my screen and that's set that as that scene. So now if we click on the table scene, it'll animate back to the isometric view of the table, and if we click on the cutting plan, it'll animate back to our cutting plan. So now we can easily see that we need 9 pieces of timber for the seat and tabletop. We need 2 pieces of timber to get the supports out of, and we need another 2 pieces of timber to get all of the legs, and then finally a last piece of timber just to cut the 2 braces. So finally on this cutting plan we can add some text. Click the text tool, click anywhere on the page and it will bring up the text dialog box. And then I can put in the quantity, 14 number, 4x2 CLS timber. Click anywhere away from that and that will set it on the page. To turn this SketchUp plan into a PDF printout, I use a free bit of software called Foxit. It's a PDF reader. There are many bits of free software out there. You may even have a PDF reader already installed on your machine. Simply go to the File menu, select Print, and then in the drop down box select your PDF printer. Mine is Foxit. In the tabbed Scene Print page, we don't just want to print the current view, I want to print all of the scene tabs. So if I select the Scenes button, this will print both pages, the isometric view and the cutting plan. Number of copies I want is 1, and the print quality high definition, and then click OK. It then brings up a save box. It's already given it my file name, which I'm happy with that, and save type is PDF, which is default, and click Save. And that's it. I can navigate to that location in my file menu and I'll have a PDF document which will be 2 pages showing the isometric view of the picnic table and the cutting plan. I'll just save this file quickly before we proceed any further. And lastly, what I want to do is upload it to my 3D warehouse. 3D Warehouse is a place where you can share your models with other creators or anybody on the internet who uses SketchUp. It's also a really good resource for finding models that other people have shared. You can download them and use them yourself. In the 3D toolbar up here, there's an option to share your model. Click on that. It automatically logs me into my 3D Warehouse account. I want it to be publicly viewable. I'll put the title in here. Pub style picnic table. I'll put a brief description here. Again, picnic table with free cutting plan. Link to the tutorial video below. I'll place a link to my YouTube video. I don't want this model to be 3D printable because it's not a 3D printed item, and then we just click upload. It does take a while for that process to go through while it's uploading to the 3D warehouse, so you might have a little bit of a wait. Then if you go in my 3D warehouse, we can see the new model has been uploaded and everybody else can download a copy of it. We've looked at quite a few different things today, and I hope you found them to be interesting and of use to you when you're doing your own SketchUp models. And of course, please leave me some comments. I've really enjoyed reading the comments that I've received so far, and thank you very much for everyone who's taken the time to do that. Look forward to seeing you on the next SketchUp video. Cheers!